Hey guys, Joe from J&M here. Thanks for clicking on our video. This week we have a 400 square foot octagon shaped patio fire pit. Watch us excavate it, frame it, lay the rebar, and then that pour. Hopefully you guys like what you see. Leave us a like, subscribe. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Have a great day. Going into this, the customer had, I think, an old shed building right here. He took it down, had us come in and do an octagon shaped kind of a fire pit, patio extension. It was fun getting the shape right though. It took us a little bit adjusting and playing with it, but it was a fun process. There was quite a bit of soil to remove, and I was glad that we had our MT85. We used to have an S70 we used for every job, but now it's parked at home. That 85 gets in and out real easily, lets us excavate it. Just a great machine to take care of little jobs like this in people's backyards. Going into this, we had to make sure that that cut was at the same angle as every other side, which is 135 degrees for an octagon. So that cut, we had to double check, triple check to make sure it lined up with everything else. But once we got it out, it came out real nice.
Muy buenos días, caballero. Yo te conozco, hay hartos unos queridos primitos y todo, pero si algún paisa suyo o algo pues, está bien, pues lo comparte. Si puede, toca en cuanto al cemento, es nomás una, porque son sí.
The entire size of this was dictated by the bottom side of this existing patio here. We cut it across, measured its length, and then from there we cut every other length, every other side of the octagon the same length, which coincidentally left us about a 4-inch gap from that shed in the back to this new pad addition. Without even trying, it worked out in our favor. We cut them all to the right length, measured 135 degrees, adjusted a little bit. We ended up putting like an elbow on each connection. So after we got them all connected, we didn't put stakes in. We moved it around so that it was all the same dimensions from end to end, same width, because people were going to be putting shares around this. And once that got done and we knew our dimensions were right, we finally started staking everything in. This was one of those jobs where we had to run our jumping jack before we got any rotobase in here. The soil in here was clean, no organic material, a little bit of rocks mixed in with it, but it hadn't settled at any point, hadn't been driven over. We had to make sure it was to the proper density before we brought in our rotobase. We did about a total 5 passes on it to make sure it went to the density that we wanted to. We had to fuel up about halfway through because we ran it just for that long. And if you see in the video, from the moment that we started to the moment that I stopped running it, this whole area dropped about 1.5 inches. But after that, it was very, very solid. it was good for us to lay our concrete on there. We don't have the luxury like some states like California down south who don't suffer freeze thaw cycles. So we have to really pay a lot of attention to how we prep our subgrades, how we finish our concrete. And this is one of those important parts. Once that was done, we brought in our class 6, our road base, and then that we can hit it with the plate compactor. Since it's a granule soil, we brought in I think about 2.5, 3 inches here. Brought in a bit actually, and used that power buggy to get it in here. Oh, it's such a blessing having that power buggy. It can carry about half a yard of granule material, so it's only a few trips. And then with that plate compactor, we did about, what was it, 4 passes total once it was all said and done. And then once we got that to where we wanted it, got it watered, compacted, we got that center ring, which was for our 4-foot fire pit, made sure it was centered. People will ask, well, why'd you leave the concrete out of there? Well, concrete can withstand about 200 degrees. Your typical wood fire burns about 1100 degrees. You do not want to mess with the concrete, have any rebar inside of it exposed to the weather. We use fiberglass rebar, but since firewood will be sitting on top of this, ashes, hot embers going down into it, it's better that it do it with just exposed soil. You see us here laying our rebar. My wife was kind of sick on this job, but she still kicked butt, flew through it, helped us get it done. Got that fiberglass rebar in there. Great stuff now that we know how to really lay it properly. After knocking this out with that tiger tire, getting it tied up, we started laying our chairs. We always lay chairs under a rebar. We don't believe in that pull-up method. You're going to step on it, it's going to hit on the ground. I mean, we don't use it ourselves, but we're grateful there's contractors that use that pull-up method because it makes it easier for us to tear out their bad work because the rebar wasn't in the right place. It's on the ground, barely off the ground. But thank you to all the contractors who use that pull-up method and don't use chairs. But as long as we're doing it, we're always going to use chairs to make sure our rebar is where we need it to be. Our customers pay us too much for us to make those kind of mistakes. All right, guys, we got it framed. Rebar is laid. Everything's excavated and compacted really well. All that's left is that pour tomorrow. See you at the pour, guys. Have a great day. You could hear me at the end of that clip yelling out chairs to make sure this is propped up. Real important part of the pour. We now have a new supplier we're working with, a much better supplier than the previous one. We were grateful with our previous one, but we always want to strive to improve our service, the quality of materials that we offer. We're currently working with Transit Mix Concrete. Exceptional company to work with. Their product is far better than anyone else in town. They offer a wet batch concrete, which is better than the dry batch we were using before. And I mean, it's all great, but any little improvements we can do so that our customers know they are getting the best materials that we know are out there, from fiberglass rebar to the concrete that we pour. We're just glad that this is the way it's working out so far.
¿Quién sabe? Un palito que gancho que no esté bien eso agarra.
Tooling our joints on this one was a no-brainer. It's an octagon. We went from corner to corner, corner to corner. Ended up making 8 slices of pie out of this octagon shape. Haha, funny little joke. Finishing it was pretty quick. It came out real nice. Broomed it from the outside in. And it all worked out. I mean, the finish was pretty simple. We just had to knock it out before it set up.
Y me gustó lo que me dijo el güey, dijo, eso nomás te pusieron ya. Son bien pinches pulgadas. Dije, no, no, ¿cómo no, güey? Dije,
No, es que ya no marca.
¿quiere una más grama?
Parece que sí,
No, no, sí está marcando.
¿Cómo
Está
que
bien.
si no marcando?
No,
Sí, yo
ahí está
apenas-
muy bien, sí. Sí, este es perio. Ahí está marcando perfecto. Muy bien.
Sí.
Sí, sí. Es papel y
Yo
papel.
no miro de aquí.
Sí, no, de aquí sí se mira muy
Oh,
bien.
sí, sí, uno cuando la está
Sí.
viendo al centro.
Serio, con un escalón a lo largo, que no, que dos viejos se lo echan facilito. No, mentira, no tan facilito, ¿verdad, César?
No, pues es que de la mañana sí no.
Pues sí, pero no, por sí o por no, no es como el terreno ayuda que quede. Beautiful. Nice. Nice. Muy bonito, amigo.
¿Otro
Luis.
qué?
Súper, súper. Oh,
Once it was all said and done, we ended up having about, I believe, 312 square feet added to this backyard area. I'm very excited to see how the customer will put this new area to use. I bet it's going to be fun, fire pit, having guests over. But there it is, guys. I hope you guys liked what you saw. All right, guys, pour went well. We poured at 10 a.m., 5-inch slum, 4,000 stealth fiber, number 3 fiberglass rebar, 2 feet off center. Came out really well. We knocked it out with that power buggy, poured it in about 30 minutes. There it is, guys. What do you think? I'm thinking it came out really, really nice. Customers hopefully going to be very happy with it. I'm gonna have that fire pit in the center. It's gonna be a natural wood fire pit. That's why we left the center open. Don't want extreme heat hitting the concrete. As we all know, concrete can withstand 200 degrees. Your typical wood fire is well beyond that. But there it is, guys. Stick around. Hopefully you guys liked what you saw this week. See you next week, guys.